Forza Horizon 5. Probably the most polarizing racing game I've ever played. Developed by Playground Games and Xbox Game Studios, and the first game in the Forza franchise designed specifically for the Xbox Series consoles, it won IGN's Game of the Year in 2021. Mostly 100% positive reviews everywhere, and absolute commercial success, especially to the mainstream. This game was designed with intentions for everyone to play it. The accessibility of the game is through the roof, whether that be through everything being handed to you in the game or even Xbox Game Pass. And well, that did benefit the game, being the biggest launch in Xbox Game Studios history. The game is a technical marvel all around, not just in terms of racing games, but in the entirety of the gaming industry. Seemingly, this game is arguably one of, if not, the greatest racing game of all time, right? Or at least that's what the majority of reviewers say. So, what makes this game so perfect? And what about the aspects that make this game so polarizing at the same time? And to many diehard fans, the absolute worst Forza Horizon game in the franchise. Everyone knows that the racing game industry in the last couple of years has been, how do I say, quite stagnant. Forza Horizon 5 seems to be one of the main subjects of this. Many people state that the game didn't innovate enough and is uninspired and fundamentally flawed. Even to the minor things such as the watered down sense of speed and attention to detail, or the unrealistic rubber banding in the races. All of these things add up to the massive stigma that Horizon 5 is the worst game in the franchise yet. And I hate to say it, but I think they're right in some ways. In the first segment of the video, I will be talking about the great or the quote-unquote positive aspects of Horizon 5. The majority of the points I list will be based on personal experience, as well as only comparing it to Horizon 2 and 3, since those are the only other Horizon games I've played. In the second segment of the video, I will be talking about the points people have made to argue that this game is the worst in the franchise. The majority of the points will be based on others' experiences, but I will mostly take a neutral standpoint on the topic. The majority of this info is stuff you've probably heard before. You can skip to the proper timestamps in the description if you want, but if you decide to stick around, just remember that this stuff has been repeated like 400 times already in different reviews. Before I start rambling about the graphics of the game, I just want to inform you that I play the game on PC with a mix of Xbox Series S and X settings at 1440p 60 FPS. So what you're seeing on the screen may be different to your gameplay on whatever console you're playing on. Anyway, this is the most obvious, biggest elephant in the room. I mean, the game looks stunning and breathtakingly picturesque. As the review from Ars Technica stated perfectly, I seriously cannot keep track of how many times FH5 made my eyes bulge. The game's visual formula is arguably 50% tech and 50% art direction, with screen bursting HDR effects doing wonders for richly saturated canvas of cities, sunsets, and scenery. No matter the weather condition or scenario you're in, whether that would be cruising a Lexus LFA through the tight streets of Guanajuato in the midst of a thunderstorm, or trudging a decked out Mayor's Manx through Dunas Blancas, picking up some sand and transforming your little hosh-posh buggy into a strip of beef jerky, this game will always look incredible. The graphics of Horizon 5 are a perfect introduction to the technical marvels of the Xbox Series consoles. I mean, good graphics have always been synonymous with the Horizon series, but this next-gen game takes it a step further, and I'm very excited for what's to come in terms of racing game graphics. Another elephant in the room. We're crying out loud, how big is this room? Jokes aside, much like the previous 4 Horizon games, Forza Horizon 5's map is a fictional representation of a country. For Horizon 1, it was the picturesque, rusty western United States. For Horizon 2, it was a stunning mixed match of Italy and France. For Horizon 3, it was the land down under Australia. For Horizon 4, it was the gloomy yet elegant United Kingdom. And finally, for Horizon 5, it's the extremely diverse Mexico. When Horizon 5 was first reviewed to be located in Mexico, I was astounded, but in a good way. I, like many other fans, was expecting the game to be located in Japan or somewhere else in Asia, but Mexico was a surprisingly good location. Unlike Japan, Mexico is extremely diverse, and Forza Horizon 5 perfectly encapsulates that. The map is the biggest and most varied in the Horizon franchise, including canyons perfect for high-speed technical driving, agriculture fields to plow through, sand dunes to soar through, jungles to rummage in, incredible coastlines perfect for taking pictures, and active volcanoes to jump off of, which is also the highest point in the franchise yet. You get the idea by now. It's huge, looks photorealistic, mind-blowingly detailed, varied and diverse, and could theoretically compete for being one of the greatest open world maps of all time. This is another synonymous aspect in every Forza Horizon game. The amount of freedom and the sandbox nature of the game allows you to create, drive, customize, and decorate cars on any which way you like to. Like driving 1980s rally cars off a cliff? You can do that. Like speeding a $3 million exotic hypercar on a highway at 300 miles per hour? Yeah, you can do that too. Like ruining JDM Legends by plastering diabolical anime liveries on them? Hell, you can do that too. This level of freedom with just the cars alone pretty much means that there is technically no end to the game. After all, there are over 700 vehicles to customize visually and performance wise in unlimited ways. Not to mention, thanks to post-launch content like the return of Rocket Bunny or the addition of rally-inspired modifications included in the Rally Adventure DLC, or the inclusion of new body kits in previous updates, have ballooned the amount of customization possibilities and freedom in the game. Sure, it's not perfect and definitely not as fleshed out as the customization in the Need for Speed games, but considering the number and detail of the cars in the game, it's honestly passable. This is arguably the most controversial positive aspect in the game, at least in my eyes. Much like the previous 4 games, the soundtrack is split into different radio stations. Forza Horizon 5 originally included 6 radio stations, but 2 were added in later updates. All of the 8 radio stations cover different varied music genres. Horizon Pulse, being in every game in the franchise yet, has some pop and electronica. This is my favorite radio station in the game. Honestly, it could theoretically compete as one of the better Horizon Pulse stations in the entire franchise. It includes artists like Glass Animals, Dua Lipa, Porter Robinson, Gorillaz, as well as some other great pop artists. My favorite song from this radio station would probably be Weekends by Classics. Horizon Bass Arena, also being in every game in the franchise, includes some EDM and dance music in general. I'm not gonna lie, I really don't listen to this radio station much. Personally, I think the original game had the best Horizon Bass Arena, but I don't know. Bass Arena includes some artists like Deadmau5, Wolfgang Gartner, and some others. My favorite song from this station would probably be Channel 43 by Deadmau5, but otherwise I really don't listen to this much. Horizon XS is actually really good. It's your stereotypical racing game rock station. It includes bands like the Foo Fighters, Royal Blood, Bring Me the Horizon, The Killers, and some other great rock bands. My favorite song from this station would be Caution by The Killers. Horizon Block Party is their average hip-hop radio station, but it also mixes in some Spanish hip-hop. It's an okay radio station, but some of the songs are just unbearable. It includes artists like the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, and even Lil Nas X. My favorite song from this station would probably be Vamos by the Mexican Institution of Sound. I'm gonna quickly go over the rest of the radio stations. Hospital Records is literally just drum and bass. I don't have a favorite song for this. Radio Eterna is classical music. I also don't have a favorite song for this station. Epitaph is punk rock. My favorite song would probably be Growing Up by the Linda Lindas. Horizon Mixtape is a mix of songs from older games. My favorite song from this station would probably be Nocturne by Kino. You're probably still wondering why the soundtrack of this game is so controversial. Surprisingly, it's actually not due to the song selection, but rather the censorship. For example, in the song One More on Bass Arena, the phrase bathroom stall is censored. Yeah, I'm being serious. Bathroom stall. What did bathroom stalls ever do? In conclusion, aside from the horrendous censorship, the music in this game is honestly pretty good. Sure, I don't think it's the best. I still think Horizon 2 still has the best overall soundtrack, but hey, I take this over the soundtrack of Need for Speed Unbound any day of the week. That game's soundtrack is trash! Another controversial take, since the expansions are technically copy and pastes of previous DLCs. The expansions in Horizon 5 are great, but to be fair, I've only played Horizon 3's DLCs, so I guess I really don't have that much experience. Horizon Hot Wheels was mediocre, to be honest with you. It had a ton of fun tracks and ramps and literally 3 diverse islands to explore, but nothing ever attracted me to come back here. However, it did experiment with some progression. For example, you could only use B-class cars until you progressed in the career mode. The best part about the Hot Wheels DLC was the cars that came with it. The cars that came with the DLC were great, including the Brabham BT62, Subaru WRX STI Rallycross, Hennessy Venom F5, and a ton of other great cars. Otherwise, it was okay. It was a tiny bit bland, but still fun for a bit, so the DLC was not bad. Rally Adventure, on the other hand, is the best DLC by far in my opinion. It honestly reminds me of Colin McRae Dirt 2, with the trophy trucks and rinky-dink buggies, you know? It comes with a bunch of off-road vehicles, which I absolutely adore. The map is decent. It's supposed to be an extension or an add-on to the current Horizon 5 map, but it's not connected to the actual map. I would have preferred it if you were able to actually physically drive there, but hey, we can hope for Horizon 6 to actually innovate. Aside from the map, the new rally events were great, though they were pretty basic. It's cool to have a co-driver, even if you're riding in a helicopter for some reason instead of your car's passenger seat. In conclusion, if you're buying this game in 2023 for whatever reason, I recommend the DLCs if you're looking for extra content. Both of them are pretty good, it just depends on what you enjoy. If you like going unnaturally high speeds on plastic tracks, the Hot Wheels DLC is for you. If you want a game like Colin McRae Dirt 2, but open world, the Rally Adventure DLC is for you. Well, that concludes the aspects that Horizon 5 got right. I could probably list 400 different other good things about the game, like the physics or car sounds or whatever, but for the sake of my time and sanity, I'm just gonna transition right into what Horizon 5 did wrong, at least according to the people, aka Reddit. This is the most complained about thing in Forza Horizon 5. Here's a challenge for you. Go to the Forza Horizon subreddit and take a shot every time someone complains about the lack of progression in this game. Your liver would be non-existent. That's how many people complain about this. To be fair, it all makes sense though. In the beginning of the game, you literally start off with a Corvette, the new Supra, and the new Bronco. You literally get 3 cars right from the get-go, one of which being a literal supercar. On the contrary, in the first Horizon game, you start off with a Volkswagen Corrado. Now that's a pretty big jump. However, I have seen that some people do argue that the progression in Horizon 5 is perfect the way it is. From their perspective, they don't want the game to be a chore or a grind, and that they just want to hop in their dream car and simply have fun with it. Honestly, both sides are perfectly valid, it just depends on what you personally enjoy. Of course, Horizon 5 being extremely accessible to everyone, these players will have different perspectives. This part is actually outdated now, so hey, good for the developers. I'm actually really glad that the list of known issues has shrunken by a lot. But dear God, if you played the game when it first launched in November, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. For instance, the online mode was pretty much non-functional. I remember playing with my friends and we just could not go into a single race. Either that or we just get kicked mid-race. It was so painful, but hey, at least the online mode is actually working now 2 years later. There were also some other major bugs like crashes and even that AFK exploit, but I'm pretty sure those were ironed out now. In conclusion, even though the majority of the major bugs were ironed out, the damage has still been done, like the birth of the alert okay meme. Also, I should have stated this earlier, but I will state all of these negative aspects pretty quickly since there are quite a bit to go over. You could probably tell by the last couple of segments, but anyway, according to the majority of players, Horizon 5 was a copy and paste or a recycle of Horizon 4. As a Reddit user perfectly stated, Forza Horizon 5 is basically 4, but with a slightly bigger map, some geographical features people wanted, a mountain with curvy roads, both gravel and asphalt, a general improvement on car handling, especially noticeable with rear-wheel drive cars, a tire selection that mostly makes sense in its intent, and overall better presentation. Like I even stated before, the literal DLCs were recycled. The Hot Wheels DLC, of course, hails from Horizon 3's Hot Wheels DLC. The Rally Adventure DLC is basically the first Horizon game's rally expansion. To conclude, Horizon 5, to many people, was just a copy and paste of Horizon 4 with a new map, better sounds, improved handling, and a couple of new upgrade options. There are actually some different parts to this complaint. One complaint I've seen is that the game just doesn't fully represent Mexican car culture. This deviates from the previous 4 Horizon games. In Horizon 1, obviously there were a ton of American cars like the Dodge Viper, Chevy Bel Air. In Horizon 2, there were a ton of Italian cars like the Lancia Stratos, Lamborghini Huracan. Yeah, you get the idea by now. In Forza Horizon 5, the Beetle is like one of the few cars that fully represents Mexican car culture. Sure, there are some others like the Volt 05RR and the Ford Racing Escort, but there just simply isn't that much compared to the other games. Another complaint I've seen is that people just want to drive normal cars. Yeah, People want to pay $60 to $100 for a game to drive a Nissan Altima or Ford Fusion or a Peugeot 206 or something. To many people, they just want these regular ordinary cars so they can modify the hell out of them. It's like a guilty pleasure or a fetish or something, but I won't judge and it's perfectly fine. The final complaint I've seen, but I guess it's kinda outdated, is that there just weren't that many brand new cars. However, thanks to the car pass and DLCs and the crappy festival playlists, this is mostly obsolete now. The biggest complaint about the racing in Horizon 5 is that the AI just cheeses way too much. The amount of rubber banding could literally compete against Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010's rubber banding. That's how bad it is. However, rubber banding in arcade racing games is honestly not very surprising. If you struggle with the rubber banding in this game, then you literally just have a skill issue. Jokes aside, the rubber banding in this game just makes the AI defy physics, which is why I completely understand why people don't enjoy the races in this game. One of the other major complaints about the racing is that it's just simply boring. If you look at this B-roll gameplay I've had in this video, then you can see for the most time, they just follow the racing line. They don't make mistakes like braking too early or getting on the gas too late or losing traction, which makes the races really boring in general. The only other games I know that has the AI make mistakes is Codemasters games. I guess this kind of expands on the idea of the lack of progression. I saw this comment on Reddit that stated this perfectly. I honestly didn't even realize there was an actual story. It just seems like they throw 1,000 races on the map and say do these. The point people make with this argument is the first Horizon game. In a nutshell, the story in that game was basically trying to climb the ranks in the Horizon Festival by being celebrities within the festival and taking down the antagonist, Darius Flint. Ever since Horizon 2, there hasn't been a clear-cut story like the first game, which is why I completely understand the complaints made against the story. Like, imagine if we had a GTA 5 type of story, but with a Horizon game. Oh wait, that game already exists. It's called The Crew. The majority of post-launch support mostly critiques against the festival playlist. There's this YouTuber called Ultraviolet, or formerly Moses B, who made a 5-minute rant about the post-launch support in Horizon 5. Basically, in a nutshell, some of the cars in Horizon 4 were removed at launch of Horizon 5 just for the sake of drip feeding them in later updates. I can completely understand this rage. It's honestly unacceptable and just downright aggravating and egregious just to grind for these cars that have been in previous games and removed. Speaking of which, the festival playlist is just plain garbage. You have to grind an hour for a car you'll probably never drive or have already driven 5 years ago, but you do it just for the sake of FOMO or fear of missing out. It creates this artificial player count where people log on every week in fear of missing out on a car that will only be available for a week or something. If you do manage to miss out on a car, then you either have to buy it in the auction house or pray to Playground Games that it will be available in the next couple of festival playlists. In conclusion, in Horizon 6, please just get rid of the festival playlist. It's stupid, unnecessarily grindy, and just lazy in general. I know I said I'd mostly take a neutral standpoint, but this feature is probably the thing I hate most about this game. That's all for the complaints. Much like the praises that this game gets, there are probably like 1,500 different other bad things about the game, but then this video would be over 2 hours long. You might be wondering what I personally think about this game. In my rawest, most truthful opinion, I absolutely love this game. I mean, if I despise this game, why would I have almost 500 hours in the game and over 80% of achievements? However, it would be wrong to not point out the negatives of the game, which I obviously just did. But here's what I'm hoping that Playground Games have learned to improve on their next Horizon game. First off, when the game launches, can you at least make the online work? Second, can you please launch this game in a working state? In my opinion, it's completely valid to delay the release of games. Sure, it'll be disappointing, but at least we won't get any alert okay messages every 15 seconds. Third, innovate a bit. Whether that be the art direction or the map or the story or hell, even the graphics. Imagine if we had a racing game but with Team Fortress 2's art style / graphics. That'd be so unbelievably crazy and I'd unironically pre-order the game instantly. And I guess that wraps up this video. If you couldn't tell already, this is actually my first ever video of me yapping into a microphone and actually my first ever video I've ever made over 10 minutes long. If you have any recommendations for me to improve my video making skills or even my talking skills, just let me know in the comments. As you could probably tell, the way I speak just changes a lot in this video, which could make it a hard watch. You can also state your opinions in the comments too, but please remember to be respectful. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.